Time to go on a shadow quest as Pluto, the lord of the underworld, begins its retrograde on Sunday, May 4th. The next 5 months will be all about self-discovery, breakdown of the fears, and release of the old patterns. Are you ready? Let's dive in. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you enjoy my work and have a few seconds, show your support by leaving me a like, a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. Watch more of my videos. I have a lot of more general videos breaking down placements in your natal chart. You can also say thank you by buying me a tea, a coffee, another gift or token of appreciation. Thank you for showing your affection and your support in all the ways that you can. Before we dive in, I have a couple of announcements. If you're seeking personal guidance, you have questions about your chart, you feel stuck in life and you need help from a professional astrologer, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com and book your consultation today to talk about your strengths, weaknesses, karmic purpose in a natal chart reading, to take a peek at your year coming up in a predictive reading like a year ahead or a solar return, or to talk about your relationship patterns in a compatibility reading. I can also help you figure out the best place in the world for you to move to, as well as the right time to take action through an election reading, the right time to get married, to start a business, etc. On my website, in the services, you can also sign up to join Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. If you've been interested in astrology for a while, it's time to take it to the next level. It's time to learn to speak the language of the stars and to use it to your advantage. You can ask other people, you can listen to a lot of videos, or you can learn how to interpret it, how to make astrology your ally, how to be better at taking action. All of that is something we're going to cover in my course. It begins in September. Find it at anastasiadoesastrology.com. And the last announcement, I'd like to highlight my Exalted Moon candle. It smells like clean cotton and it's decorated with this beautiful silver foil, which is the metal of the moon. It captures the powerful moon in Taurus, which is arguably the best placement for the moon. So it has this soothing, stable, great at manifesting quality. It could be powerful for manifesting abundance, stability in your life. It could be great for fertility, sleep, rest, and release of anxiety, which is something we will definitely need in the next few months as we have more and more energy in Aries and Pluto is retrograding. So Pluto goes retrograde on Sunday, May 4th. Like I said, it stays retrograde until October 14th. So about 5 months. Pluto is the planet that is connected to Hades, the lord of the underworld, famously known for the story of his abduction of Persephone. He sees the beautiful Persephone out in the above world, on Earth, having a good time. He falls in love, and then he jumps from the dirt, steals her, drags her into the underworld with him. And then the story of Pluto also becomes the story of Persephone, which is of victimhood and overcoming that victimhood, becoming the queen of the underworld and negotiating a pretty sweet deal where she spends some time with her husband, whom she now loves, and spends some time up on Earth with her mother that she also really loves. So similarly, Pluto represents this deep, powerful urges that we all have. It represents painful experiences, and it represents empowerment that we go through in the process. Pluto has entered Aquarius in November last year. It's going to stay in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So we're in this very interesting period. Whenever Pluto enters a new sign, it takes some time for us to get used to it. Aquarius is the sign of community, society. It's the sign of change. It's the sign of innovation. It's the sign of progress. So quite naturally, last time Pluto was in Aquarius, it was the time of French Revolution, Industrial Revolution. It was the time when the kings were falling down and the people were gaining the power, as well as technology was marching forward, which was creating fear in a lot of people. And Pluto always, as it travels through the sign, it always brings up fears. When Pluto was in Scorpio, which is all of us millennial people, it was the rise of AIDS, and so fear of like scorpionic sexual themes. It was also the time of fascination with serial killers and serial killers on the rise. When it was in Sagittarius right after that, that's when 9/11 happened. This was all about like, Sagittarius is the sign of travel, so we feared travel, we feared airplanes, we feared foreign people, right? That was like the rise of terrorism. So now that Pluto is in Aquarius, there is a lot of fears around technology and what it's going to mean, and how the world is going to look like, and what kind of jobs are going to disappear, right? So as we deal with some exciting developments, there are also potentially some fears. So when Pluto stations retrograde, it may backtrack on some of the developments. Funny enough, just today I saw the news about Norway taking away a lot of technology in their schools and trying to bring back that face-to-face interaction. So there is already potentially some kind of, backtracking towards like human interaction and not just focusing on technology. The retrograde will also force us to face sort of challenges inside of ourselves, versus when Pluto is direct, it may be the time when we're dealing with challenges outside of ourselves, right? Like somebody is sending you messages that are irritating you, or you're dealing with a power struggle with your sibling. Like it's often something you can pin down and say like, okay, this is the outside force that is standing in my way, versus when Pluto is retrograde, it's more likely inner obstacle, inner challenges, inner feelings of like desire for control, obsession, inner kind of like unhealthy patterns, maybe drinking too much, maybe going to sleep a little late, maybe not expressing how you're feeling for the sake of avoiding conflict. So a lot of, like I said in the introduction to this video, self-discovery, processing of the fears, releasing of the old patterns. The retrograde lasts, to repeat again, from May 4th until October 14th. And Pluto will move back from 3 degrees 49 minutes to 1 degree 22 minutes of Aquarius. So if you are born, if you're an Aquarius born in January, if you have planets between 0 to 4 degrees Aquarius, we might expand this to include Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio, other fixed signs. This will affect you the most. This will likely unravel things if you've been trying to kind of not go within. It's going to force you to face some things that maybe you wouldn't want to face, and it will encourage you to do shadow work. Very powerful transit for shadow work, for therapy, for kind of discovering more self-understanding. If any power imbalances come up, it is an opportunity to examine how you handle things, because the only person we can control as much as possible is ourselves, right? There are other people are impossible to control. It's like no matter how much you try, you will also only get like frustrated and disappointed. So Pluto going retrograde is your opportunity to like control you and work on yourself and change yourself and like let go of old comfortable patterns and maybe welcome some new patterns. You may notice the changes affecting your relationships potentially quite powerfully. Your relationship with yourself and your health, if you're addressing self-defeating tendencies, as well as maybe your finances and career, but a lot will depend on which house gets activated in your chart, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Before we do, again, exalted moon has a very calming, soothing energy. So if you tend to get anxious, if you feel like it's hard to gain control over things, not that you should try to gain control over things you cannot control, which is what I was just saying, but the moon in Taurus can bring more stability, soothe your anxious mind, help you relax, help you sort of be grounded. And very powerful for manifestation. Anyone who's born with the moon in Taurus, every time I do a reading, I'm like, you are the best at manifesting. And they're like, yeah, actually, this happened and this happened and this happened. So if you'd like some powerful manifestation energy, especially if you're born with the moon in Scorpio or Capricorn, because those are the two challenged moon signs. So let's take a look at the 12 signs and see what this Pluto retrograde might be bringing up for you. We're going to start with Aries rising. For Aries rising, the retrograde is activating your 11th house. So we're looking at friendships, networks, hopes, and dreams. Examining friendship dynamics, looking at how you handle things, right? Do you speak up when things feel unfair? Do you choose to be quiet to keep the friendship alive? Do you stay friends with people even when they no longer behave like your true allies and friends? So Pluto going retrograde can bring up memories of the past issues. It can bring up any actual issues and encourage you to sort through your friendships, maybe release some toxic associations, toxic connections. It can also direct you more towards people who are aligned with you, maybe find new people that see the world as you see, that are as interested in astrology and spirituality as you are. You know, kind of like shifting through actual existing friendships, setting better boundaries, transforming relationships, and welcoming new alliances as well as maybe new dreams. It is the retrograde, so it does move backward, but in the process of self-discovery, you can definitely find something that is more aligned with you, so that when Pluto goes direct in October, you have more ability to like take action. There might also be a chance to maybe rethink your friendships and come up with some new ways of being together. Like maybe you decide to go to a space museum with your friends, or you decide to go to a game night that has some kind of like AI aspect to it. So really kind of not just the shadow work, but there are some exciting opportunities there too. Visit anastasiadoesastrology.com to book your personal reading and sign up for Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. We will learn everything there is to know about astrology and learn to use it in an applicable, practical way. The course begins in September. You can find it on my website. If you are a beautiful Taurus rising, here we're looking at your career, status, reputation, public life, and specifically negative tendencies in the career, and maybe a need to be more self-aware, a need to be more clear, because chances are with Pluto in your 10th house right now, you have a strong desire for authority or power or some kind of recognition. And so having acknowledge, like you had to acknowledge that, right? Like you had to sort of embrace that desire within yourself instead of trying to project it on other people. Sometimes when Pluto is in the 10th, you may be dealing with more drama with bosses or other people sort of usurping, frustrating you, right? Or usurping their power. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Let me know in the comments below if there's a better way of saying it. But, you know, it may feel a little bit difficult because Pluto in the 10th exposes all the shadows. It can also make your dirty laundry more obvious, more visible. Like if you've been sleeping with someone you work with and everybody knows about it and they start gossiping about you. And so Pluto going retrograde is your chance to rethink your desires, to rethink where you're going, right? To kind of ask yourself, am I on the right track, or have I gotten derailed along the path? So it could be a good time to reach out to old bosses, to update your resume, to maybe revisit old projects and old passions. If you're feeling flustered and frustrated, the Exalted Moon candle is perfect for you because it captures the moon in Taurus, your sign. It can be great at helping you manifest the perfect job, manifesting your dreams, bringing calm and soothing energy into your life, and also is really good for like boosting and improving fertility. Find it at anastasiadoesastrology.com, and you can also book a reading on there. If you are a beautiful Gemini rising, Pluto is beginning its retrograde in your 9th house, which is all about education, travel, writing, publishing, and also your worldview, your philosophy. So Pluto retrograding here is potentially a very spiritual transit. It could be the time of spiritual adjustment, where you're asking yourself, does my world reflect my beliefs? And if it doesn't, what can I do to change? And if it does, what can I do to maybe change and improve my beliefs, right? Because sometimes we may be in a frustrating situation and we feel stuck, but some of it is also a manifestation of what's happening inside of us. Like if inside of you, you're believing that life is hard and bosses are always working against you, then chances are you're going to manifest it. So kind of rethinking your worldview, exploring new perspectives. It could be a really good time to like read some philosophical books, maybe travel or connect with your foreign friends or connect with your old teachers, people that once have inspired you and infused you with hope and belief for the better future. It could be a really good few months to get away, to, like I said, pick up a philosophical book, to reconnect with teachers, to even like write something and come up with a plan for your future endeavors. If you're seeking some emotional support through it all, my Moon in Taurus candle has a very beautiful, soothing energy, and it's decorated with silver, which is the metal of the moon, and it was created with a really powerful Moon in Taurus. This is at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also book a reading on there and sign up for my natal astrology course. For the beautiful Cancer rising, Pluto is retrograding through your 8th house, which is the house of mysteries and sudden events and karmic debts, as well as literal debts, your entanglements with other people, those you can see and those you cannot see. So when Pluto goes retrograde, you're starting to become more aware of the role you likely play in the situations you find yourself. So when Pluto is direct, it's really quite easy to see other people as doing the wrong thing. When it is retrograde, it's your time to be like, okay, what do I believe? What do I project? What do I attract? And take ownership of those energies. For example, you find yourself in a situation where you've been dating, you just constantly date people that take advantage of you, right? And Pluto going retrograde could be a chance to maybe reflect on your relationship with your father or your mother and see, have you ever felt like they were taking advantage of you? Were they maternal or paternal? Were they showing you an example of what a proper relationship looks like? So it could be a really great time to dive into psychotherapy, astrology, tarot, any sort of alternative healing methods. It could also be the time when you're facing any fears around mortality, because like I said, 8th house is the house of sudden events. It also holds resources that are on loan to us, including our body. So sometimes Pluto retrograding in this dark, shadowy house can lift up a lot of challenging emotions and force you to face them and deal with them and transform them. And yeah, start by seeing yourself as like a hero and a person with agency and power. And then based on that, you can take action and you can like embrace what's coming up for you. Book a reading on my website for a personal consultation if you want to know what's happening for you and how this is being played out in your chart, in your life. And sign up for my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It could be really, really great for you, really eye-opening, and can help you make better choices in life and live life with the sacred knowledge that is just, I think, so potent and important. For the beautiful Leo rising, Pluto is starting its retrograde in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. So this one can affect your partner. It could suggest that they will experience some kind of crisis. They may have to go back to an old job, an old situation, kind of sort through some deep feelings. But it is also, our relationships are some of our most intimate possessions. So when something is happening in the life of the partner, it will also affect us most likely. So if something is happening in the life of your partner, your business associate, your best friend, it may stir some emotions within you. It may sort of trigger some fears, right? Like a partner is dealing with some family drama and they have to leave, and it makes you feel like they're leaving you. What if they're not going to come back? So having to deal with inner fears connected to relationships. If you're single, right, this can also be about your belief in terms of what you deserve and what type of relationships you attract and what kind of, what relationships in general should even be like. So it could be like a really important time to examine your beliefs. And if in relationships, if something difficult comes up, right, speak as openly as you can, express your feelings, set better boundaries, try to share the power and vulnerability with the person you're in, because sometimes Pluto in the 7th house creates a lot of fears and people tend to hide who they truly are. They tend to hold some of their important cards close to their chest, but in the process, they push the person they love further away. So whether it's you or your partner who's doing that, try to be open and honest about how you're feeling. I highly recommend my Exalted Moon candle as the most soothing and calming and really good for manifesting peace and abundance for this period. Find it on my website, and you can also book a reading on there. For the lovely Virgo rising, Pluto is retrograding in your 6th house of work, health, service, and pets. And it will suggest that there is a revision coming up here, right? So if we're talking about work, you're maybe feeling a little uninspired, or you're having to kind of look over your hard labors and ask yourself whether you're in the right place or whether something feels maybe, not aligned with your true goals and your true values. The same goes for your routines and habits and your diet and your exercise patterns. Like Pluto going retrograde might encourage you to take sort of an honest look at how you handle health matters and where you maybe tend to overwork yourself, where you tend to skip meals, where you tend to take on more as part of the team because you don't trust other people. So there might be this opportunity to kind of dig up all of your shadow professional workaholic tendencies, right? And maybe, also embrace kind of new self-care opportunities. Because it's the house of pets, you may also be finding yourself dealing with some kind of like pets health issue or some kind of concern connected to the pet. Maybe you're getting a pet if you've been thinking about it for a while. Sometimes you maybe saw a pet, left, and then Pluto goes retrograde, you come back and you adopt it. If you're seeking more insight and guidance, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also pick up my lovely Exalted Moon candle. This is perfect for manifestation, fertility, sleep, rest, and relaxation. All of that is on my website, as well as my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course that begins in September. So soon. Sign up today. If you are a beautiful Libra rising, Pluto is retrograding in your 5th house, which is the house of romance, pleasure, sex, parenthood, and children. And so this is a chance to examine your dark tendencies and do some shadow work, right? So if we're talking about romance, pleasure, sex, there may be an opportunity to sort of look at how you approach those things. Where are you being too giving? Where are you being too maybe kind of people-pleasing, right? As a Libra rising, your personality has a lot of diplomatic energy to it. So you want to make sure that you're asking for what you want, and maybe you're, communicating if you have some fantasies in the bedroom that you're not exploring. This could be quite an exciting time, I think, to dig within and dig deeper and be like, this is what I actually like. Let's give it a roll. Let's give it a try. This could be the time to address any feelings you have about parenthood, your relationship with children, or your relationship with your inner child, right? But with children, there may be things happening in the life of the child. Like, let's say your child gets sick for the first time, and it brings up a lot of inner fears and anxieties. So a chance to address that, maybe accept the fact that sometimes you don't really have control, but do your best anyways. Healing an inner child and sort of becoming more aware of where you need to take better care of yourself. Fifth house sometimes may also bring up like a tendency to overindulge somewhere with sugar, with gambling, with video games, whatever it might be. And romantically, I wonder here if Pluto in Aquarius will encourage you to kind of go on a date to an AI like experience, right? Somewhere where it's like a virtual reality set, or you go to a museum on a date, or you start dating someone who's maybe a little bit quirky. Of course, Pluto in the fifth house can also suggest that someone from your past is knocking on your door and coming back into your life. If you're seeking more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com for a personal reading and sign up for my natal astrology course. It begins in September. Additionally, this exalted moon candle is one of the newer additions to my collection. It captures the moon in the best sign for manifestation, really helpful for your sleep, emotional well-being, and fertility. My top choice. I love moon candles. They're always really great. If you are the lovely Scorpio rising, Pluto is beginning its retrograde in your fourth house. This is a very personal Pluto retrograde. This can reveal any power imbalances that exist in your family, right? Your mom always asks you to help her and you always show up, but then when you ask her, she maybe gives you, I don't know, she gives you one response, she doesn't always deliver, or something is happening in your family and you find yourself trying to navigate it, you're trying to be a peacemaker, a diplomat, so any power struggles in the family will need to be addressed and you will be required to set better boundaries with family members potentially. Pluto going retrograde may also reveal or bring your attention to your childhood wounds, to your past traumas, to your wounded inner child that maybe still needs attention and love and healing. Encourage you to dive deeper within yourself and maybe also even examine how your relationships are affected by your past and how your present is affected by your past experiences. So it could be like a very good time to do therapy or to even maybe have deep conversations with family members you trust, or talk to people about your past and your childhood and your emotions. It could be quite intense, not gonna lie to you. I would love to recommend my Exalted Moon candle. This one captures moon in the strong, grounded, earthy Taurus, really good for emotional well-being, ease, peace, rest. It can also improve fertility and your sleep. So find it on my website and just be ready. I just had Pluto in my fourth house for a bunch of years as a Libra rising, and I think it did bring up a lot of intense emotions connected to family, but it also brought a lot of healing and kind of allowed me to sever toxic connections and to figure out, how to nurture myself and where to be my true ally versus like expecting other people to do it. If you're seeking personal guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your natal chart, your relationship, your year coming up, and more. And sign up for my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It begins in September. For the lovely Sagittarius rising, Pluto is retrograding through your third house, which is the domain of your everyday life, your communication, your sibling skills, business, and community. And so Pluto here feels like a chance to say things you didn't say. There may be old communication tropes that are coming up, certain understanding that sometimes you're not, maybe sometimes you're just joking around, right? You're a Sagittarius rising. Maybe you're like playing it cool and light and trying to act like nothing bothers you. But maybe you have the sun in sensitive Pisces and it does bother you, right? So there could be an opportunity to like express how you truly feel, maybe rethink your thoughts or your patterns or even your communication style. a really good time to revisit old ideas because Pluto is traveling back, and maybe even declutter and rethink your everyday life and your patterns. It could be a good time to like literally go into your car and open the, like, I don't know, something. If you're keeping things in your car, you're keeping things in your attic, like to actually get rid of some things, because like as you burn the old, just make sure you don't set your house on fire. But as you declutter, right, declutter the physical space around you, your mental space may open up and feel lighter and feel more kind of open for new opportunities, can bring sort of mental clarity in the process. If you're seeking more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com and sign up for Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It begins in September, and we will get a chance to dive really deeply into astrology, learn how to use it to our advantage, and it will turn you into like a superhero who knows when to make decisions and who knows how to build better relationships. For the lovely Capricorn rising, Pluto is retrograding through your second house, which is the place of money and values. And here we're looking at your relationship with money. So Pluto retrograde can maybe be the time you're sort of going back and handling some kind of old financial matters, like you're auditing your finances, you're rethinking your spendings, you're eliminating some of unnecessary spending, right? It can also be the time when you're realizing how your beliefs affect your finances, because just as much as it is the house of money, it's also the house of like self-worth and your priorities in life. So establishing those harder to establish connections, because between like what you believe or what you've grown believing. Your second house is Aquarius, right? So maybe there is a little bit of like detachment with money, or you've dealt with some kind of like hardships financially when you were younger. So taking a look at your self-worth, taking a look at your fears, maybe looking at like what kind of things you're hoarding, right? Or what kind of things you're spending on, and what kind of things you believe, and like how much money you're trying to set aside, where you're being a little bit maybe too, stingy with yourself. Like how much are you spending on yourself too, right? Like, so all of these deep questions, I think, about like self-worth, self-love, beliefs connected to finances, and then the real world and how it manifests in your finances. I highly recommend my Exalted Moon candle, both for emotional well-being as well as for manifesting financial abundance and more beauty and pleasure in your life. Taurus is your fifth house, so it could be a really good choice. And stay sort of patient through it all. Do some inner work, therapy, meditation, yoga, journaling. All of that could be good right now. If you're seeking more guidance, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com and register for my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It begins in September. Beautiful Aquarius rising. Pluto is retrograding through your first house, which is the time of major self-polishing, self-discovery, self-rethinking, right? This could be the time. So like when Pluto is direct and it's in your first house, you're maybe dealing with some physical obstacles, other people, other outside forces, government, whatever it might be. When Pluto is retrograde, you are more self-aware. You start to see the hidden patterns, the hidden fears, the maybe even wounds that you haven't processed. And so Pluto retrograde very much is like, how do you, with your beliefs, with your actions, with your appearance, with your words, how do you create things in your life, right? Like, and what needs to change? I see this as more like hidden, deep, invisible on some level to the naked eye, to other people transformation, but it can also result in some maybe change of your wardrobe, right? You're sort of decluttering your closet, getting rid of some things, changing your hairstyle, and as you're inner self changes, as you discover more power and start to feel more in control of your life, so does your outer self changes, and you're more comfortable and confident expressing your true self, right? There might be a chance for you to kind of express your opinion or express your strength, express your attitude towards something during this process. If you need emotional support, my exalted moon candle or oil can be a really good fit. It captures the powerful moon in Taurus, which is really good for manifestation, sleep, fertility, abundance. Highly recommend. Find it on my website. You can also book a personal reading on there and sign up for my natal astrology course. Now, if you are a Pisces rising, Pluto is beginning its retrograde in your 12th house. This is the place of spirituality, mental health, hidden blocks, your blind spots, your imagination. And Pluto being retrograde here is going to maybe encourage closure with some relationships, with some bad habits, right? It can make you more aware what needs to be released in your health and like what needs to be attended to when it comes to your mental health. Asking for help, starting therapy, starting to meditate, doing yoga, going down the path of looking at your past and looking at your psyche, right? And actually taking a fine-tooth comb and like clearing it all up. Not the easiest process. I would really recommend my exalted moon candle for the next few months because it's very soothing, helps with sleep, rest, manifestation, and things like that. And spirituality could be a really helpful tool for you guys right now, like meditation, journaling, Reiki, dream work, right? All of that could be highly, highly supportive. I also quite like this transit for maybe getting away, going somewhere like to like the ocean. As a Pisces rising, I'm thinking of the ocean. But like, you know, going somewhere where you can be alone with your thoughts, maybe taking your 1 or 2 favorite people and traveling with them so you can do like the Hanged Man card in tarot. You can like get away and just sort of hang out in a faraway place without taking action, without worrying too much. It could be like a really great chance to like detox from your thoughts and from your experiences, just like take a break, take a pause. 12th house also rules all of the spiritual practices like yoga, meditation, astrology, tarot, right? And so involving yourself in those things as both a technique for self-understanding, but also a tool for healing could be really great. I am teaching a natal astrology course in September for 3 months, so sign up to join me. Astrology is a tool of self-help. I found it when my dad passed away, and it was very sort of empowering for me, so highly recommend studying it as well. Or you can book a natal astrology chart, natal astrology reading, or I'm like, what kind of readings I do? A natal chart, solar return, which is great around your birthday, relationship reading, and others. All of them are on my website. Thank you for watching. I hope you are doing well. Please share if you have any comments, any thoughts, any ideas, if there are any general or predictive readings that you're most interested in. I will be happy to hear your ideas and possibly even bring them to fruition one day. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.